We once believed the fight against wild boars was nearing its end, but no, they've come back, and with far more destructive force. Especially in the swampy forests of southern Florida, where the wild boars have been ravaging farms for weeks. That's why we continue to take up arms and battle them to protect our crops. Early in the morning, we headed to the pre-scouted hunting grounds. The moment our boots hit the earth, we could feel the sticky dampness of the ground beneath us. The air was thick and suffocating. As if warning us of a harsh day ahead, we moved toward the forest's edge where the swamp bordered nearby farmland. Wild hogs often came there in search of food. They also roamed the fields, tearing up the soil as they foraged. After the gunshots were fired, the wild boars scattered around us, and we had to rely on off-road motorbikes to be able to find the targets. Rich held the wheel steady while Daniel and I gripped our rifles, aiming at the boars as they moved into the night. Gunshots rang out one after another, shattering the morning silence. The noise sent the hogs into a panic, making them run even faster. But no matter how fast they were, they couldn't outrun the bullets. After taking down those wild hogs, we kept moving and headed toward recently harvested wheat fields. The sun had just risen above the horizon, casting a pale golden light through the thin morning mist, an absolutely stunning scene. But there was no time to admire it. The hogs usually leave the fields before full daylight, retreating to the forest to escape the harsh midday heat. A full-grown boar appeared. I had no time to hesitate. Slowly, I raised my rifle to my shoulder, lining up the front sight squarely on the south shoulder. I squeezed the trigger. The gunshot cracked through the air. The boar let out a roar. I wasn't sure if it was hit, but it ran. I quickly gave chase and fired another shot this time. It went down. By late morning, we arrived at the forest's edge, a vast area with swamps, an ideal place for wild boars. The ground was damp and soft, yet oddly familiar. This was the boars' favorite environment, where they dig burrows, wallow in mud, and rest. A burst of gunfire followed, leaving the wild boars with no chance to flee. After about 30 minutes of chasing, we brought down several of them. After marking and recording the coordinates, we continued deeper into the area. Our new target was the remaining herd. On an old map I carried, there was a small swampy lowland not far from here. If my guess was right, they'd head there to escape the heat. This area was dangerous, but I was familiar with it. If you're well prepared and know how to adapt, danger rarely shows itself. Several wild boars had been taken down. We moved in, checked to confirm they were dead, then tied them up and dragged the carcasses out of the swamp. Once again, mud, blood, and scorching sunlight mixed into an indescribable feeling. Our journey ends here. Make sure to hit like and subscribe to get the latest updates. The Georgia Valley, an arid land where thorny bushes grow densely under the scorching sun, is now under siege. Wild hogs, ferocious beasts with razor-sharp tusks and cunning minds, have turned this place into their territory. They dig up the land, destroy crops, leaving behind desolate trails of dust and rock. The wild hog's relentless destruction has spread throughout the region, drawing hunting teams from all over to this valley. Vehicles are rolling in, fully equipped with firearms, ready for the battle to reclaim this land from these beasts. In Georgia, wild hogs don't just go in groups, they possess razor-sharp tusks and cunning intelligence, spreading chaos across the arid valley. Each year, these wild hogs cause millions of dollars in damages, turning farmers' dreams into nightmares. Trees are uprooted and water sources are contaminated by the muddy paths they create. Their destruction isn't just an economic burden, it's a fight for survival, forcing hunting teams to step in and protect this land. Just as I was moving around to locate the wild boars, the herd suddenly appeared. They ran up onto the road. I quickly raised my gun and pulled the trigger. The first shot rang out. One boar was taken down, but the others scattered in all directions. What a shame I was out there alone. A gunshot echoed from another location, the moment another hunter spotted his target. Oh no, a miss shot. In a valley filled with dense thorny bushes, it's incredibly hard to pinpoint the exact direction the wild boars are running. What a pity to let them get away, but it just goes to show how fast these creatures really are. Next time, I'll make sure to aim more precisely. Our new stop was amidst a thicket of thorny bushes. The wind howled through, rustling the shrubs and swaying the branches, as if foreshadowing an approaching storm. Hidden beneath the dense canopy, the wild boars, cunning beasts of the forest, lay in wait. But we would not allow these monsters any chance to escape. The hunting dogs had locked onto the target and barked furiously. My teammate spotted the wild boar's hiding place. He raised his rifle and took careful aim, leaving no chance for the prey to escape. A gunshot rang out, and the boar dropped instantly. The echoes of gunfire rolled across the valley as more wild boars were taken down, one by one, with ruthless precision. The hunt was growing more intense. Only the fastest, strongest, and luckiest could hope to survive. But now, luck is no longer on the side of these wild boars. Next, we moved to higher ground with a wide view of the valley to get good firing angles. As soon as I spotted a target running alone among the bushes, I seized the opportunity, pulled the trigger, and the wild hog stopped instantly. The hunting dogs diligently continued their work, sniffing out and locating the wild hog's hiding spots. Charlie's, my teammate, swiftly raised his rifle, took precise aim at the prey, and then an ear-splitting shot rang out. The prey could no longer. Here it is. Another wild hog is darting through the bushes. They're incredibly fast. I was already in position, ready to pull the trigger. After accurately determining the prey's path, the shot rang out. But they were too quick. Then another shot echoed. This time it couldn't escape. After completing the hunt in the high visibility area, we moved through the dense bushes where long-range visibility was obscured. The thick, intertwined bushes combined with the rugged landscape created countless escape routes for them. The continuous barking of the dogs rang out, and simultaneously, I raised my rifle, aimed towards the sound of their barks. The shot echoed. I quickly followed the dogs' barks to the wild hog's location. Moments later, the hog's bulky body was still twitching in the bushes, about to heave itself up. Another shot rang out, and it lay motionless there, unable to escape. The golden light of sunset had fallen. In the quiet air, we patiently followed the tracks, still searching for our prey. The hounds barked fiercely. Gunshots rang out in rapid succession. The hunt was more intense and challenging than ever. After a fierce battle, the wild boars were finally taken down, but the scars of their destruction remained etched into the dry soil of Georgia. Fields torn apart, crops devastated, and the livelihoods of many threatened. Without strong control measures, these cunning beasts will continue to multiply and wreak havoc. This battle is... Hit like, share, and subscribe to follow the next intense chapters of this wild boar hunt. I am a farmer in South Texas where corn and soybean fields stretch out endlessly. But behind the peaceful facade lies a war that few people see. The war with feral pigs. Feral pigs have long been a vicious invasive species, destroying crops, digging up soil, and confronting hunters when cornered. In recent years, I have learned to become a hunter, not out of passion, but for a living. The war is often fought with traps and guns. The trap I chose was a corral trap, a circular trap with a trapdoor made from wire mesh panels about 1.5 meters high. Inside, we baited it with corn mixed with fat and wine, which wild boars particularly love. They can't resist the smell. To effectively trap wild boars, we need to set the traps several days in advance so that the wild boars are not alert. To effectively trap wild boars, you need to install surveillance cameras to capture the wild boar's activity time. After many times approaching the corn bait without encountering danger, more wild boars will appear. Through the camera, we know the time and number of wild boars entering the trap. We can remotely control the trap to trigger and capture the prey. Early in the morning, we moved to the trap location to harvest wild boars. Although we knew in advance that there were many wild boars in the trap, we still felt nervous when facing them. As we approached the trap, the wild boars panicked and rushed at the bars, growling and trying to break through the cage. We did not shoot them immediately, but looked around, making sure that the wild boars did not fall into the trap. When we saw no danger around, we aimed and killed each wild boar. Each accurate shot took down the wild boar immediately, ending it quickly. That was the moral rule we set, which was not to let them suffer for long. To get a quick and clean shot, we needed to aim precisely at the head and chest. After killing these wild boars, we loaded them onto the truck. The wild boars were so heavy that my whole body almost swayed. These wild boars would be processed to make full use of them. Nothing would be wasted. After bringing the wild boars back from the traps, we returned to the guardhouse on the south side, where the barley fields and the wild woods met. This was where the pigs often came out at midday to find water. I hid on the high watchtower, my gun ready, my eyes fixed on the binoculars. Around 11 a.m., a herd of wild boars appeared. I took a breath, adjusted my scope. At a distance of 50 meters, I aimed at the leader and pulled the trigger. The explosion rang out in the silence, causing the remaining herds to scatter. The one that was shot staggered, but still ran away. I slid down to the hut, followed the tracks, and found the wild boar, collapsed about 100 meters from the hut. While waiting, we moved closer to the farm area, where the terrain was flat and wild boars often appeared in large herds. In the blazing sun, I could clearly smell the scent of soil, grass, and wild boar mixed together. I held the gun firmly in my hand. As soon as the wild boar appeared, I pulled the trigger. Thanks to the accurate shot and good vision, we continued to kill a few more wild boars. Although we hunted a lot of wild boar, we were not very excited, because this was not a recreation hunt. The goal was to prevent wild boar infestation and limit their population. All wild boars hunted will be transported by us to the staging area. After inventory, they will be sent to local slaughterhouses. Hunting wild boars in the U.S. is not only a farmer's act of self-defense against crop damage, but also an art of balancing survival and humanity. Traps help me take the initiative, guns help me finish quickly, but the most important thing is still the heart, cold enough to pull the trigger, warm enough to remember that every fallen animal is the flesh and blood of this land. Our journey of hunting wild boars with traps and guns has ended. How do you feel about today's video? Leave your comments below to let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe to receive the latest notifications.
Hunting wild boars is already difficult, but doing so in the rainy season is an entirely different level of challenge. The forest ground is slippery and muddy, the vegetation is soaked, and visibility is limited by a misty curtain of rain. More importantly, wild boars become more active, move around more frequently, and turn aggressive when cornered. However, these very hardships are what make the hunt so compelling. Let's see how we face these challenges head on. Wild boars dislike the rainy season because the damp conditions hinder their movement and hunting. However, the season also provides an abundance of food, encouraging more activity. Hunting in the rainy season is tougher due to slippery terrain and the fact that boar tracks are easily erased. Hunters must pay close attention to sounds and signs of wild boars to bring down their prey accurately. After a heavy downpour, puddles still lingered on the soaking wet dirt road. The rain continued to fall steadily, but it didn't dampen our spirits. In fact, these were ideal conditions for wild boar hunting. Cooler weather means more activity. The sound of pouring rain helped mask our footsteps and breathing, making it easier to approach our prey. As the rain started to ease, we spotted our first target. A dark shadow flashed by. I immediately raised my crossbow and fired. The shadow stubbornly tried to keep going but collapsed completely after only a few more steps on the soggy ground. However, as the rain intensified again, we had to head back to avoid dangerous conditions. After a midday break, our group continued deeper into the forest near home. This time, we decided to use rifles instead of crossbows, as we had little time to track footprints. One precise shot would end the hunt faster, saving time and effort. Suddenly, a large wild boar burst out of a nearby bush. It startled me a bit, but the instincts of a seasoned hunter quickly took over. I squeezed the trigger. Gunfire echoed. 2 successive shots rang out. The boar staggered, then collapsed as its heavy breathing gradually faded. Just when we thought the danger had passed, a sharp-eyed teammate caught sight of another dark figure lurking in the dense forest. Refusing to give up, we split up to search. As I took position, a giant wild boar suddenly dashed past me. There was no time to hesitate. Instincts kicked in. I raised my gun, aimed directly at the boar, and pulled the trigger. It fled desperately. Only after 3 booming shots did it finally go down. Less than 10 minutes later, several more adult wild boars were also taken down. But we knew the hunt wasn't over yet. New challenges were surely waiting ahead. The next day, with the rain completely gone, we resumed the hunt. The prey slowly came into focus. I took a deep breath, carefully aimed, and fired one decisive shot. It hit the mark. The boar fell, signaling the end of an intense pursuit. As we were preparing to head toward the mountains, we were suddenly met by a herd of wild boars charging downhill. In a panic, they scattered in all directions, but we didn't hesitate. Our group launched into action. No matter which direction they fled or where they tried to hide, the boars couldn't escape our sights. One by one, they were taken down. The constant barking and howling of the hounds led us straight to the target. The entire pack of hunting dogs had cornered a wild boar. As soon as it saw an opening, it broke away. From 50 meters away, I looked through the scope, took a deep breath, and when the crosshairs locked in, I pulled the trigger. Still, the boar was incredibly tough. It took 3 shots before it finally collapsed. The dogs swarmed in, barking and lunging at the downed prey to claim their reward. My fellow hunters also opened fire, shot after shot striking true, taking down more boars in quick succession. This hunt was truly intense and thrilling. Another herd of wild boars charged down the road, forcing us into a frantic chase. If we didn't stop them, they could pose a serious danger to locals. As we waited at a choke point, the entire herd, each boar plump and hefty, suddenly burst out, catching me off guard. But I managed to react in time, quickly aiming and unleashing a barrage of deadly shots before they could escape. Thank you for watching this heart-pounding hunting adventure. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel.
Texas is home to the largest population of feral hogs in the United States, estimated at nearly 3 million, causing nearly $100 million in damage to the agricultural sector each year. In response, Texas has resorted to everything from trapping and gun hunting to more daring methods, chasing wild hogs by helicopter. This measure is not only an effort to control the herd, but has also become popular as an adventure tourism service for shooters who love challenges. Of course, not everyone can participate. Pilots need a valid Federal Aviation Administration pilot license, and shooters like me need a specialized license, such as an aerial wildlife management permit. With all the necessary paperwork and careful preparation, we began our trip. The weather today is quite nice, clear, little wind, and light sunshine, perfect for a helicopter hunt. From above, I could see dense tracts of wild boars running across the sand. Then a herd of about 10 pigs came into view. I signaled the pilot to lower altitude, raised my gun, and pulled the trigger repeatedly. One by one, the pigs were hit, falling down one by one on the road. It couldn't have been a better start. Still excited, the pilot suddenly pointed to the northeast. Another flock appeared. Then the gun was loaded again. The helicopter glided low. I calmly aimed, starting with the last ones in the line. Each shot was decisive. A new batch of prey was taken down. Started to move into an area with sparse bushes, but still open enough to observe. Wild boars were extremely alert and slow to react to the air. So, once I spotted my prey, especially those running alone, it took me less than 2 minutes to finish them off cleanly. I strained my eyes to find every trace. Then suddenly, another herd appeared. It seems that the helicopter's low altitude to reduce glare caused a lot of noise, which alerted the pigs. They immediately scattered and ran in different directions, making aiming difficult. I thought the drama had died down, but as the helicopter tilted into a new curve, I caught a glimpse of a pig in the middle of the open field. Immediately, the pilot tilted the helicopter slightly towards the target. I seized the opportunity, steadied my gun, and pulled the trigger. Most of our last few minutes, as the helicopter hunt only lasted until dusk. I aimed at the largest leader and pulled the trigger. I successfully took down the prey with just one shot. Meanwhile, my friend Jake had already managed to kill a few other members of the pack. The video ends here. How do you feel about today's hunt? Leave your comments in the comment section, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to follow the next dramatic